one of the best guys out there. Chez Benson, Neff, Ted Scott. Hello, Teddy.
Bonjour, monsieur. Comment ça va?
Ça va très bien, toi?
Very good, my friend. Doing very well here in Louisiana.
Good. Teddy Scott, caddy, all-time great caddy on the PGA Tour. Where are you now? COVID-19. I know the Players Championship, which I am sporting the caddy T-shirt in your honor. What have you been doing? Are you guys allowed to play in Louisiana? What's going on? What are you doing in the break?
Well, thanks to that good Canadian company, HD Golf, High Definition Golf. As you can see, I've been playing golf in Canada and everywhere I want to play, really. Pebble Beach, all kinds of fun places. But yeah, in Louisiana, we are allowed to play golf, and but our local city has shut down their course, but the private and semi-private courses are open. So
I was going to ask, why are you in Banff, Canada? Banff Springs Golf Club, which is incredible. So are you born and raised in Louisiana? Is that a life in Louisiana so far?
Yeah, I've been here for 42 of my 46 years.
Okay. And then did you play junior golf? How'd you get involved with the game?
My grandfather and my dad introduced me to it when I was 7. We used to go visit my grandfather every holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. And when I was 7, I started playing during those holidays. And then in the summer times, I would spend at my dad's house. We would play the little junior golf tournaments or whatever, take the little clinic. And then when I got into high school is when I started playing year round. So that's kind of when I really started taking it more serious.
Did you play college golf?
One semester. I went as a walk-on and they redshirted me, and I was like, I don't want to be a redshirt. I want to play. So I came back home, and I was supposed to walk on to my school here in my hometown. I talked to the coach my sophomore year. He said, "Yeah, I'll let you walk on next year," and I was like, "Perfect." So I had a place to play again, and I ended up starting to play the game table soccer, or foosball, as some people might know it. And I quit playing golf for about 3.5 years, and didn't play a lick after that. So that's kind of a strange hiatus I had in the middle of my life, where I played foosball instead of golf.
Okay. Did you ever have any aspirations of playing professional golf or
No, I didn't. I didn't. In the early years, I always liked it, and I thought it was fun, and I wanted to compete, at anything. But it was in 1999 that I turned pro in golf to teach, friends. A lot of people were asking me to help them with their game. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll do this for a living, because I do like to teach. And I played a few rounds with a guy who saw I was playing well and invited me to have a meeting with him about maybe playing the mini tours and trying to go for it. So he gave me some money to do that. And in 2000, the web.com tournament comes through my hometown every year. And since I was a young man, really a young boy, my philosophy has always been, if you want to find somebody, if you want to get good at something, find someone better than you and spend time with that person. So when the web.com tournament comes through my hometown, I thought, man, if I'm going to play for a living or try to play for a living, maybe I could try to caddy for the week to see what these guys do so well, and I can learn some stuff. And so I went out just to caddy for the week, and Grant Waite was the guy that I picked up. And, here I am 20 years later still caddying. So I basically realized that they were as good as you. And I was like, if I can't beat you, I definitely can't beat them, because you're really good at golf. They're amazing at golf. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just can't beat them, join them type of thing.
How long did you caddy for Grant?
3 years. And then I worked.
Now, were you on the bag when he hit the famous shot, when Tiger hit the famous shot at Glen Abbey on 18 out of the bunker in 2000?
Yep, three months into caddying. My first day on the job was Thursday. I actually had a fever the week that I went to caddy. I went out on Tuesday to caddy, and I had a fever. And Grant said he hired me, and then he said, "Well, let's go play 9 holes." And I said, "I can't play 9 holes today. I'm sick. I've got a fever." And he kind of looked at me after he just hired me, like, "Well, I just hired a caddy, and he won't caddy today." And I said, "But I'll be feeling good by Thursday." So I don't know why he kept me. But Thursday rolled around, and he had gotten someone to caddy for him on just 9 holes, but he hadn't seen the back 9. And it was my home course. So we get on the tee and they're about to announce us, and he said, "Hey, what's it to carry that bunker right there?" And I said, "It's a 2-iron." That was my answer. And he said, "Well, it might be a 2-iron for you, but I don't know how far you hit a 2-iron." And I said, "Okay." So I'm just kind of staring in the abyss, and he goes, "Ted." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "How far is it?" I said, "Oh, it's about 200. He goes, "About 200, okay. Ted, how far is it to carry that bunker in your yardage book?" I said, "I don't have a yardage book." And his eyes got about this big, and he said, "You don't have a yardage book?" I said, "What do I need a yardage book for? You're the pro." Because when I play in tournaments, I carry my own book. I don't let somebody else carry it, so I didn't even know anything about caddying, I didn't have a yardage book, so I had to sprint to the clubhouse in a New York second, come back. They announced us. I'm breathing hard. I look through the book. It's 203 to cover the bunker, and he hits a 2-iron. I'm like, what? That's what I just said. About 200, you hit a 2-iron. So anyway, it was kind of fun.
And then so that was on the web in Broussard, Louisiana, right? The Le Triomphe. I've played that event before. So how did the Canadian Open come about? And because was he fluctuating, or did he get his tour card with you after you've met him on the web?
He was conditional that year, and I believe it was either Bay Hill or the Players that Le Triomphe was opposite of at the time. So he didn't get in there, and he just came to play because he wanted to compete. So he had played actually back-to-back. The next week was another web.com in North Louisiana, and he asked me if I wanted to caddy again. I said sure, and then we went to, I think, West Virginia for not West Virginia, Virginia for web.com, and then we played in a couple of PGA events. Then he started to get in some more, and then he finished at the Air Canada Championship in BC. He finished in Surrey, actually. He finished second, and then he came to the Canadian Open and finished second, back-to-back weeks.
Oh, were those 2 weeks your first time in Canada?
Not my first time in Canada. No, my first time caddying in Canada, but I had gone there a few times as a kid. My dad,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then take us through Tiger's shot, his famous shot on 18. Like, did you think he was going at the pin, or was that not possible in your head? Because there's trees in the way too.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy scenario because it was an incredible ball striking battle that day. Grant only missed one green, and he was 12 feet from the pin on the fringe on a par 3. And Tiger only missed one green, the 17th green, and he made it stick up and down out of the bunker there left. And so that kept him 1 up. And we went there, and Grant hit it down the middle and had 225, I think, and he hit a 5-iron. He was so pumped up on adrenaline in the middle of the green. And Tiger had that 213 out the bunker. And we were standing next to Peter Osterhaus, and literally as soon as he hit it, Peter's reaction was the same as our reaction. You could hear him with the microphone, like, "Oh my God, this is right." And he's like, "This is right at it." Like, uh-oh. Because he kind of, if you go back and look at it, he swung and he kind of gave it one of those. He definitely hit it out to the right. So afterwards, Grant asked him, he said, "Please tell me you weren't shooting at that pin." He goes, "Oh, no, I definitely wasn't." He said, "I was trying to hit it in the middle of the green, but I took enough club in case I pushed it that it would cover." So, it's a smart shot by him. And as you know, being a professional golfer and a great player yourself, you don't hit the ball where you're looking every time. And some of the greatest birdies, including hole-in-ones and great shots, you're actually not even aiming at the pin, So, sometimes a bad shot is a good result. And that's, in my opinion, that's what that was. And I think that's why most people say that's Tiger's greatest shot ever, but he doesn't say that himself,
No. He mentions the 3-iron out of the bunker. So Grant Wade was your first. Did you think you were going to do this for a living, or like, did you think you sucked at the beginning, or like, why did he keep you?
100%. Well, I didn't think. I knew I sucked. I was like, wow, I can't even caddy good. How am I going to play good? But yeah. So, and then I was just going to work and get some knowledge because Grant was so great at helping me. And I thought, hey, I'm actually saving up some money myself. Maybe I could do this for a year, and then I won't need a sponsor and put that burden on someone else. It'll be my money or whatever. And then we finished second 2 weeks in a row, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do this for a living. It's this easy, I mean, caddies go years without finishing second, or with a win.
Correct.
Here I am punts into it without a yardage book, and I got 2 seconds. I'm like, oh man, this caddying business is easy, you know.
What makes a good caddy is a good player. I've always heard that.
And nothing to do with me.
So take me through your caddy years up till now. So who did you caddy for? Did you go to the LPGA Tour like Kurt did, or were you always on the PGA Tour on the male side?
Yeah, so I worked for Grant for 3 years, and believe it or not, during that time period, a tour rep came up to me and said, "Hey, you need to go play Paul Azinger in foosball. He thinks he's really good, and he said that he can't, that nobody can beat him." So I said, "Really?" He goes, "No, I'm serious. You need to go talk to him." So I went up and said, "Hey, I heard you want to play foosball," and he's like, "No, I'm not good." And then we started talking. And he said, "There's this guy that I really want to beat, and he beats me all the time, and I just want to learn how to beat him." And I said, "Well, I can teach you how to beat the guy. It won't be a problem." And he's like, "Really?" So I literally went to his house. He taught me short game. I taught him foosball. That guy never beat him again, and he got excited about it. And then he told me, because I was playing really well at the time with him, he said, "You should quit caddying and go back to trying to play. You're playing really well." So he kind of convinced me to quit. So I quit, and I wasn't doing well. I was choking and struggling, and so he actually called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come caddy?" Paul did, in Flint, Michigan, because they have great foosball every night there in Flint, Michigan. And he had only made 2 cuts all year. And it's a true story. He only made 2 cuts all year, and I happened to be like 400 miles away at a mini tour event. So he said, "Yeah, I'll just drive over." So I drove over, and I caddied for him. He finished, I think, 9th. I helped him with his putting a little bit, and he finished 9th. And he was like, "You want to caddy some more?" And I was like, "Yeah." So that's how I literally quit to play, and then I started caddying again for Paul. We were playing foosball every night and golf every day and having a great time. So I worked for him for 3 years. And during that time period, I worked for Olin Brown a little bit too, because he and Paul were great friends. And, I had some really and then we played in the second to last group when Michael Campbell won on that Sunday. So that was a lot of fun to be in the second to last group of a major and the last group of a major. That was kind of a cool experience early on. But to answer your question about the LPGA, when I started working for Bubba, one of his friends asked me to caddy. He asked me to caddy for one of his friends on the LPGA. So I've done it one time. I caddied at the LPGA Tour Championship. But fortunately, for me, I've been having a job, pretty much on the PGA Tour the whole time. And I started with Bubba in 2006 after Paul and I split up. So.
Oh, okay. See, that was even before I turned pro. I've heard stories about Bubba Watson on the Hooters tour, and then when I first played the Hooters tour was like around 2009 or 2010, and those were like the Russell Knox and Ted Potter years. They were dominating the Hooters tour. So obviously, how many wins do you have on the PGA Tour now to your credit as a caddy?
12. We've had 12 together, Bubba and I have, and then he has one that's not official, the Hero Challenge. It's not an official, so 13 total with 12 official.
You've caddied every major. What's your favorite course on tour?
Riviera,
yeah, where Bubba has had quite a bit of success. Yeah.
Yeah, I love there. I mean, just going there is such a fun course, and I actually got to play it. It was on my bucket list. On the way out to the China and Japan tournament this past season, I went to stop on the way and got to go play it. And it's funny because Bubba's played so well there, and there's no rough, and it's like I think of the course as being difficult, a few holes, but it's like it's not that hard because it's like playing a video game for Bubba. He's like hit it here and he hits it there, and he hit it up here and fly it over this bunker. And so it's like, this course isn't that hard. And the night before I started thinking about it, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do on this hole? What am I going to this course is hard. So
it is.
I quickly learned how hard the course was. I forget sometimes how good he is and how he can make a hard course look easy. But when I had to play it, it was a reality check and punch in the face,
Yeah, that Riviera, a good viewers don't see that, but it's the walk from 18 back to the clubhouse up those steps. I mean, it's just it's a killer. Like, you hate when you start on 10 and your guy makes a birdie on 18. You're like, God, I gotta hurry up all the way to the steps.
Yeah, your guy doesn't even want to make a birdie on 18 because he doesn't want to tee off first out of breath on one.
No, exactly. Hardest course to walk for you?
Oh man, honestly, it's probably Augusta now. You know, unless you're in Maui or Kapalua, it would be tough. But
Oh,
Augusta's
yeah.
tough. It's very hilly. You know, and you know the white jumpsuits are restrictive, so it's just it can be taxing on your body, and then it probably feels a little worse because of the stress of a major as well. You know, that really
Correct.
the mental stress kind of wears you out physically.
All right. Well, I got, obviously I've told you, you're a very popular guy. So once I said I was going to have you on the show, I've gotten a lot of questions from fans. Alexandre Vary wants to know, how much input do you have in Bubba's shot shape or clubs? Like, considering like he shapes the ball more than anyone out there. So like, what are you going to tell him when he sees like a 50-yard slice with the driver? Like, do you see what he sees, or do you just carry the clubs?
So when I first started working for Bubba, it's a great question. The very first day he told me, he said, "Look, I don't need any help. Just carry the bag and give me a number." So I was like, okay, this is going to be different. So in the beginning, it was like a science experiment. You know, the way that scientists look at something, or supposed to look at something, is let's see. You just kind of stand off to the side and observe, right, without getting involved. So in the early years, it was kind of just watch a lot of the stuff he did, and it's kind of like I wouldn't personally ever jump in a place where they have sharks, swimming around, but you see scuba divers do it all the time. And I think the more you observe something, the more you kind of understand the behavior of that thing you're observing. So, I think maybe if I observed sharks for long enough, I would kind of start to understand them and maybe swim with them, but I wouldn't just jump right in. So with Bubba, because he's such a unique golfer, it's very similar to that. I didn't want to jump in and start picking clubs because I had no idea what he was thinking, feeling. I'll tell you a great story that not many people have heard. It's pretty hilarious. In 2007, not long after we had started working together, we were at the Houston Open on Saturday. He made, I think, 11 birdies, and he took the lead that day. But we were on the 14th hole of par 3, and it was 196 to the pin and 204 to the back edge. Okay. And, he had just kind of started to ask me for help a little bit here and there.
And it goes all the way down after the.
You know the hole perfect, yeah. So
yeah.
So now my fear. So the pin's back right, and from observation, I knew when the pin's on the right, he likes to draw it left to right. So, he's there, he's nervous, he's in the lead of the PGA Tour event, and there's a 5-mile-an-hour wind at our back. And he says, "You like 7-iron?" I said, "No, I definitely don't like 7-iron." I said, "It's a par hole. We're just trying to make a 3 and get out of here. Let's hit an 8-iron because you can't hit an 8-iron 204 and just get it, And he goes, "Okay, perfect." So he sets up with an 8-iron. And Johan, I'm not joking. This is the honest truth. This is no exaggeration. He'll tell you the same thing. He takes it back. As he's making contact with the ball, he goes, "Don't ever tell me I can't hit an 8-iron 204 yards." I'm like, "What? What? Huh?" And it one hops over the green. Like, what are you doing? I'm not trying to challenge you. This isn't a driving contest. I'm trying to play smart here and take over the green out. What are we doing? So that was a great question because, in the beginning, I was like, I had no idea you could hit an 8-iron 204. I would have said 9-iron or pitch a wedge, whatever it is. Let's not hit it 204, So in the early years, it was very much a lack of communication and a lack of understanding for me because I just didn't really know what he was capable of. But over time, you see something over and over and over and over and over, and you learn that thing. And then you start to say, okay, I know what he wants to do here just from experience. And very seldom does he stray away from that. So, now we have a lot more conversation. He involves me a lot more because he knows that I can see shots the way that he wants to see it. So he's just looking for confirmation. Like, are you seeing it the same way I want to hit it? And if we are, then he feels better about it, but ultimately it's his decision.
You're an excellent player too. Like, do you ever, because you guys, like Mark Hubbard and I played golf together quite a bit. And I know you and Bubba play sometimes too. Like, does he challenge you to shape shots like he does from time to time, or are you just incapable?
No, I can curve it. I just can't predict which way it's going to curve before I hit it. So curving, it's easy. That dip and flip, it'll curve it with the best of them. But No, I mean, Bubba, just his big thing is he doesn't understand why I like to study the swing and try to improve technique, because he's never had a lesson, and at 12 years old, he shot 62 in a junior tournament and won by 43 shots in a 2-day tournament. So, to be that good at 12, he obviously balls, you can't shoot 62 without hitting it well. And, he's already been good at 12. And for me, I was never a great ball striker. I always had really good short game. So I was like, so I'm trying to search the game. So for him, he just looks at me like I'm some kind of idiot for trying to fix my swing. He's like, man, just hit the ball over there. Who cares what it looks like? I'm like, I'm trying to hit it over there, but it's going over here and then it's going over there. And they feel like the same swing. So, one of the things that's helped me though, by watching him is, when he's nervous, he hits a big curve and always curves it, away from trouble, so when he's nervous, he rarely hits a ball in the big miss kind of thing, and using curves to do that. So it's kind of cool to make me think about, well, maybe I need a go-to shot where if there's trouble over here, I can make sure it doesn't go over there, that kind of stuff.
Can you take me through, obviously the shot in the playoff at Augusta? I've been to Augusta, and I've been exactly, obviously, because I made it a point to go see where he was. I mean, granted, he's left-handed. Hooking a wedge is easier, but still, like, did you see that shot, or you're still dumbfounded by how he was able to curve that ball from that spot with a wedge?
No, it was a very easy decision. I mean, I tell the story. My dad loves golf. He watched golf his whole life, played golf, and so one day we were at the Zurich Classic in New Orleans, and in the early years with Bubba, and Bubba said, "Why don't you tell your dad to come under the ropes and just walk the practice round with us?" So my dad was hanging out with us, and on one hole, my dad said, "Hey, can you really hook a wedge that much?" Ted said, "You can really hook a wedge," and he said, "Sure." So he said, "Give me a ball," and he dropped the ball in the middle of the fairway we were walking down, and just set up and hit a big nasty snap hook on the green. And my dad talked about it for years, like, "Oh my gosh, you should have seen this shot." And then having seen him do that kind of shot, sometimes from the middle of the fairway, he'll do that even on 14 at Augusta. He'll do that with the pins down right. He'll start it way left of the green, hook it, land it on the left side, and then spin it down towards the pin, So very normal shot for him. So I always relate it to this. I tell everybody, when Tiger Woods made the 8-footer to tie Bob May at Valhalla, what we think about is like, oh my gosh, what guts, what heart, how does he do that? But if you think about an 8-footer, you could take a person that doesn't play golf, show them how to hold a putter, and in minutes really show them how to do it, and they could probably make that putt. So we agree that the skill of that putt wasn't necessarily amazing. It's the situation. So for me, having seen Bubba hit that kind of shot for so many years, it really wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is incredible skill. It's like, well, that's Bubba Golf. He does that, right? It was more the doing it under the situation and the pressure that amazed me. Now, for a person that's never seen someone hit shots like that, they get amazed by the situation and the skill level. So, but for me, if I was playing golf with him, and I've played golf with him 100 times, and when he's playful, when we're playing golf, he gets real playful and goes, watch this a lot, watch this shot. And I just go, yeah, that was sick, and that's it. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah, another great shot, whatever talent, I'm trying to figure out how to get my swing to look pretty while you're hitting great shots over here. So for me, it was like, yeah, whatever.
How did I think I know the answer to that, but how did Bubba start curving the ball like that? Is it the story about wiffle balls around the house and stuff like that? That's because he told me that story, but I vividly remember, because we were paired with you guys. I remember like if it was yesterday. It was Russell Knox. I was caddying for Russell, and we got paired at the Travelers Championship in Connecticut. And I remember asking Bubba that, but I don't think you guys were playing the Titleist ball that year, because his ball didn't really curve that much. I think it might have been another brand, because it sounded different from, I've walked many rounds looking at you guys and stuff like that. So that's great that he started learning with wiffle balls and stuff like that. Is creativity. You've caddied every major. You've got 2 under your belt and 2 victories. Do tell me a little bit about like Ryder Cups. I've never been to one. What's it like, even on the caddy side? What do you do when your player's not playing? Are you still out cheering for the guys, or are you out golfing yourself, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's great questions. First of all, it's an incredible event, something that maybe brings you back to high school or college if you played college golf. It's a team event, something that we don't get used to. And caddying on tour for 20 years, you look forward to the times where you actually get together with other players and get to play on the same team and, other caddies and cheer for one another. And then to represent your country or your team, it gives a badge of honor that maybe, you don't always play for. You don't want to disappoint everybody else. So I feel like the pressure is added. And the other part is, maybe people say, well, it's more pressure than a major. And I would say, yeah, because, you could bring the game that's going to miss the cut that week to the Ryder Cup, and yet you got to man up, whereas
Yeah.
if you have the pressure to win a major, your game is on, because obviously majors are
Mm-hmm.
so difficult. So you're firing on all cylinders to even be in contention. You can't fake it in a major like, oh, I'm not chipping good, but everything else is good. It's like, no, you got to be on all fours. So, so I think for that aspect of it, the pressure gets really high because your game might be a little off, and you're like, I don't want to disappoint people. And then you might have to come up against somebody who's on fire, or an Ian Poulter who's just got that vibe about him that's so difficult. So it's extremely stressful, but extremely fun. And as far as what we do whenever we're not actually playing, Bubba is a cheerleader. He likes to go out on the course and watch and follow. He's not a practicer, as you know. He's not going to go to the range, but other players,
Oh,
they want to get ready for their match, so they want to go and hit balls and work out and do that stuff. I mean, so it's individualized in that sense. You have freedom as a team. You don't have to go support people. Obviously, they like it, but first and foremost is performance. We'd rather you get prepared for your match the way you normally would versus come out and see your face kind of thing.
all right. Next question, David Chambella. Is it hard to change your player's mindset on club selection, even if you know he's wrong? Like, let's say, like you kind of touched about it. Like, if you know he's wrong, like, will he listen to you? Is it hard? Is it a tough battle for you to kind of get in his ear and say, no way?
I think it depends on the player. So for my player, I would say yes at times and no at times. There's times where I got too much control, and there's times where he doesn't want to listen, and that's just life, right? I mean, there's times where you're like, why is he doing that? Maybe he's feeling too confident, or he just kind of like, whatever, I'm going to go for it, maybe not making a good decision. And then there's times where he's not feeling confident, and he's like, what should I do? And you're like, oh gosh, I don't want the full responsibility. So I think he plays his best whenever he just hears my idea, and then he thinks it through and then decides what he feels best. One of the great caddies told me one time, he said, it's like selling stock. If you have a stock and I have a stock, and you present your stock and I present my stock, and we look at it and go, you know what? I think this is a buy, and we're going to buy this. This is the best option right here. And I think that's the best way to go about it. I really feel like the best players have the best ability to think through the situation and decide what's best at that moment. And it changes. It's not always play smart. It's not always go for it. You have to have the vibe and feel for the leaderboard and all, how the course is playing and the difficult holes ahead or behind you, or, all those things. So it's a lot of instincts involved. And I think for Bubba, like I said, there's been times where what he'll say, what club are you thinking? I'll say 8-iron. Okay, perfect. I'm like, whoa, but let's talk about it. He pulls it out too quick. I'm like, whoa, I just got started, And then there's times where it's like, dude, why are you hitting this club, man? And I've been wrong in both situations, and I've been right in both situations. So it's not like there's a set way to do it. It's, every day is different, as you know. You feel different, you look different, you're swinging different. The courses fit your eye, it doesn't fit your eye. Fast greens, slow greens, what position you're in, if you're having stress off the course, on the course. I mean, there's so many factors that go into golf, and it makes it difficult, to have clarity sometimes.
Obviously, you've seen one of Tiger's most famous shot, but now caddying for Bubba, you've been around Tiger Woods quite a bit over the years. Are there any stories that you can share with us, like one specific story that a typical Tiger story?
I think a great story is in 2007, Bubba was kind of like, I want to play practice rounds with Tiger, and he was kind of bugging Tiger. But the first time I ever saw Bubba interact with Tiger, he saw him walk out on the putting green. He was 40 or 50 feet away, and he goes, "Hey, short knocker! Hey, you, short knocker!" And finally, Tiger was like, "Yeah, I'm talking to you, short hitter." And Tiger hollered back, and he said, "Well, Bubba, the only W you have is the one that starts your last name." And Bubba replied, he said, "Well," he said, "I can always get a W, but you'll always be a short hitter." So it was kind of a funny banter, you know, and I thought this is going to be a good relationship because, you know, Bubba doesn't show him like, you know, this is Tiger Woods, I'll be scared. And I think Tiger liked that. You know, he likes people that just treat him like he's a normal dude. You know? So that was cool. So the first practice round we got to play was in 07. We went to tee off early at Torrey Pines thinking we'd catch Tiger, and he didn't show up at the time he normally did. So Bubba was like, "Okay."
He's always first off.
Right. So we ended up being first off, and Tiger showed up maybe 20 minutes after us, and he was following. And by the time we got to number 10, he hollered over from 9 fairway and said, "Hey, Bubba," you know, and Bubba was like, "Yeah." He said, "Can I come join you?" And I had one of my friends who was a club pro that was walking with Bubba and I inside the ropes. And so Tiger shows up, and, you know, it's 07, it's, you know, the aura of Tiger Woods or whatever. And my friend, who's a surfer from California, like never been stressed out about anything, not uncomfortable in any situation, just go with the flow. After 2 holes of walking inside the ropes with Tiger, he comes over to me and he goes, "Suddenly I'm self-conscious about everything that I do." And, you know, that's a great way because it's like, you know, when you're around somebody that confident, you feel weird, man. You're like, "Oh, what do I look? What do I do?" Sometimes. So, and then after you spend time with him, you realize, man, he's incredible at golf and incredible, but he's a person, you know. But there's times where you can see people in a different way. So that's kind of the cool story that I have is just, you know, how the intimidation factor can be there, you know, because it's Tiger.
And I've watched him over the years, obviously, because, you know, I've been on tour with you guys. I strongly think that he sees Bubba and the new generation, like, they're not trying to take advantage of him. Like, they just want to spend time with him and get to know him. And he's one of the guys, as of prior in his career, like when the purses started, I mean, he made a lot of people rich that never thought they were going to be that rich. So, you know, and I think that was, I've really, anytime I've had to interact with him, it's always been very pleasant, and he really is a nice guy. He really is, but he never knows when someone's there to take advantage of him or not, you know. So that's kind of a hard thing to grasp. All right, those are my questions. Now, your favorite sport team?
Favorite sports team? Oh, that's got to be LSU Tigers, man. Football, baby.
Ooh,
Number
nice.
one, baby.
Any superstitions?
None.
No, I knew the answer to that. This one might be a hard one. What's the worst shot you've ever seen Bubba hit, and did you laugh?
The worst shot I've ever seen Bubba hit. Gosh.
I played golf with you. So
I got it. It was actually at the Canadian Open, believe it or not. Not recently. He was at Glen Abbey. He was on the left side, and you can YouTube it actually. And his ball, I mean, it was like, for him, it was kind of like a wide open, you know, hit towards the green. It was in the trees, but nothing bad. And he gets in there and hits it. I mean, I'm like, I'm not even, just chip it up there near the green. We'll get it up and down the side of the green. And he hits it, and it hit a tree and came back, and he ducked, and it went like right over his head. It almost hit him. You can YouTube it, and it was shocking to me because I was like, oh. And I believe him because he said, man, he said, I think it was in a hole or something, because it was such a wide open shot for him out of the trees. You know, not wide open for everybody, but for him. I mean, I've seen him thread the needle so many times. Such great ball control. It was just like what just happened? So, but I'd say the worst shot I ever saw. This is a funny story if you want me to tell it, but the worst shot I've ever seen in golf. We were at the Hero Challenge at the Chevron at Sherwood, okay, and we're playing with Dustin Johnson. And the first hole, Dustin takes out a 5-wood, and it's playing really soft this year. And so they're like, now the tee, Dustin Johnson, and he tees up his 5-wood. And Bubba and I are kind of like, you know, you like 4-iron, you like 2-iron, but, you know, whatever. We're kind of whispering, and we see Dustin make his swing, and we hear the sound of a divot, just a divot, and then we see a ball fly forward about 15 yards, but 40 yards to the right. It's like a divot and a golf ball just shoots off to the right, 40 yards to the right and 10 yards, 15 yards forward into these bushes. And we were kind of like, do we look over? What do we do? Do we make eye contact? And then we look at him, and Bubba looks at Dustin, and Dustin looks at Bubba, and Bubba said, "Were you trying to hit that?" And Dustin said, "Yeah, bro." And we're like, "Okay, no way." This guy was, I think, number 1 in the world at the time. I'm like, he tried to hit it. So then I looked down, and Johan, his divot was about this perfect square divot was about half an inch from his tee. His tee hadn't even been moved. I mean, he literally whiffed it completely. So we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a long day. Well, this is where it gets incredible. Bubba hits his iron off the tee. Dustin goes down the bushes. He hacks it out through the bushes, runs down to like 100 yards. He knocks it to 4 feet. Okay. Bubba hits it on the green, puts it by to like 6 feet. He's like, man, if I don't make this putt, and this guy beats me on this hole, I'd be mad right after that tee shot. So he ends up making it. Dustin makes it. And then Dustin's 5 under through 7 holes after that. I mean, it was like the most incredible turnaround. It was like, this dude just completely whiffed it. If the ground wouldn't have been soft, his ball wouldn't have even moved. I mean, his divot moved the ball, and he's 5 under through 7. I was like, that's a great memory. You got to have short-term memory to play good at golf. Well, there you go. That's incredible. Because I would have shot 90 after that.
And the reason I ask everyone that question is because most of the viewers that are watching us right now, all they see weekly are the top 10, top 15 players that particular week.
Right.
But they don't see. I mean, there are I've caddied 5, 6 years now with you guys. Now I'm in the broadcast business and Club Pro, but I've seen so many bad shots. And I've seen a few out of you. Like, you can hook a ball for a right-handed like the best of them.
Oh yeah. My favorite all-time worst shot though is Zach Johnson on 13 at Augusta. You know why? You remember when he made the swing? He wasn't trying to hit it, but he made the swing and he foul tipped it, and it went left. It hit the tee marker and went left. My favorite part is that he said that's the first hook I've hit the first fade I've hit in 15 years or something like that, which is hilarious. I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Now, were you guys paired with him when you did that?
No, but I think that's one of the funniest shots because his reaction was, what? Like, trying to find this ball. That was so good.
All right, my friend. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing this with me. And, all the best, all the success to you and Bubba. And, again, thank you very much for taking the time to doing this with me.
Yeah, anything for you, man. You're the man. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you.
I see you, Johan.